do I get a competitive cash in hand apart from the structure that is there? And can I look at a long-term incentive plan? Most employees want to partake in value creation of the enterprise, and they would like the organization to share a certain percentage of the profits or a certain percentage of the value that has been created for the growth of the enterprise to the employees. And that can be either through stock options, through stock, I mean, there are various ways of how stocks are given, and long-term incentive plans. What we have introduced is we have a component known as a deferred bonus, because we have, I mean, certain categories of staff, we have high attrition. So we have introduced a component known as deferred bonus, which will be paid to you irrespective of performance, but it will be paid to you based on tenure. And we give it to a certain section of categories of employees. And that has worked to a large extent. We have been able to stem attrition by the introduction of this deferred bonus.
Talking about complete package that you just mentioned, reminds me of something Hema Ravichandar, who's considered to be a doyen of the HR industry in India, used to say about the value adds in Infosys, where I worked as well. She spoke about three kinds of value adds equated to a triangle and the three vertices of the triangle. There was a monetary value add which was taken care of by cash and benefits. There was an emotional value add which was basically the environment, the ecosystem that you create, and then there was a learning value add which a lot of people refuse to acknowledge. So talking about learning value add and therefore stepping into learning and development, I'd like to start with you, Swaroop. Any best practices that you'd like to share from ITC about what do you do from an L&D perspective which is different?
We feel that in certain of our businesses, the attrition rate is as high as 30%, 30 to 35%. And we always felt that if we are not perceived as adding value to the employee, then the trigger for resignation will come. And one of the triggers for that is we are not adding value through training and development or through learning and development, whatever you call it. So what we have done in certain of our businesses is there's a training budget allocated to each individual. 60% is related to your job and job related. The other 40% at will from any menu you can pick up, choose and go for that training program or sabbatical or whatever it is. Use that money to develop yourself. So this is a combination of 60 versus 40 where the organization spends resources on you, 60% mandated by the organization and 40% as desired by you. How do you feel? If you feel X activity will definitely add value to yourself, go and add value to yourself.
Glenn, this is something you're very closely involved with. Any comments here?
There have been various issues with regard to training in the sense that very often organizations stipulate maximum number of hours of training per year or an average number of training per year. The result being managers say, oh, okay, I need to meet my target. So employees go for training, irrespective of the fact whether the employee needs the training or not. So we started being very strict about training needs analysis forming part of the performance appraisal. They had to identify what were the key training programs individuals needed, compulsorily needed, optionally needed. Okay, what did they expect to generate out of that training? And we also started calculating the return on investment to see whether productivity of the employee went up after the training over a period of time, not immediately, and whether it has given back the company X amount of money spent on the training plus the profitability in terms of productivity from the employee. When we started insisting on this and managers' performance was based and evaluated on this parameter, managers began to be more careful about who they sent for training, what type of training was the employees or their team members were sent for, and they actually started putting this as part of their budget, what was the return on the training and whether it was an expense or not an expense. So responsibility went along with just sending employees for training. Instead of just sending them, okay, what was the responsibility attached to it?
Recently, one of the top consulting firms had done a survey specifically targeted at Gen Y what they wanted. And the top 3 factors which came out what Gen Y demanded from the workplace was, first was faster career advancement. Second was they demanded good managerial behavior from their bosses. And third was compensation. So in terms of priority, they did it was a survey done amongst, I think, about 100 to 200 companies. And these were the 3 factors which emerged. And compensation, though they thought would be number 2 or number 1, but it emerged as number 3. First was faster career advancement. Second was they demanded good managerial behavior, and they wanted the manager to be a mentor. They wanted the manager to ensure that they're given challenging assignments, and that, that there is a certain, they expected certain behaviors from the manager which they demanded. And third was compensation.
Not pertaining to the session, this discussion you had, this pertaining to the recruitment discussion we had. So irrespective of whatever industry or whatever company we are going, there is one question which will be asked to all the candidates. What is one thing which is different in you? So before we start preparing, we will think all the different things we have done in our entire life till that point of time, and we tell it to the interview. And after hearing all our rhetoric, and we end up hearing that okay, all this is fine. What is different in it? So, in the perspective of the interview or industry, what do you think is different? Because few decades ago, 2 or 3 decades ago, it was qualification which was different. How many degrees you have at the end of your name? That was the difference which you were saying. And a decade ago, it was qualification plus communication skills. Right now, everyone is having the same qualification and everyone is having almost same communication skills. So, what is the difference you are expecting in us?
When we ask this question, and I think that's a standard question when everyone asks, yes, I completely agree, and even I do that. What I look for is, honesty. Don't give me an answer which is, I want to jump over the cliff, and that's why I am different, So be truthful what you are answering, and I think the interviewer has that experience of taking that answer, understanding whether that's the truth that you are speaking or it is complete lie. If someone says that, okay, you have given a list and say, no, what is more different, then I think, I don't know if he's looking for a Michael Jackson that way, so I don't know on that. But give an answer which is true, give an answer which you feel that, if proven further, you will be able to substantiate with examples, with, your viewpoint on different things. So that's something which I can kind of tell you. I really don't know, I may have a different perception, Mr. Swaroop will have a different perception on the same answer. So can we have a simple, straightforward answer? No, I don't think so. I'm not very sure if, that is what you are looking for, a little gyan on how to handle interviews. So it is a common saying that the interview, the selection happens in the first 5 minutes or the 6 minutes of the interview. You have the same qualification, but there'll be something which will be very different. As we say, the gut feeling. Many times, and I have fights with my line managers saying that, they found the candidate good, but maza nahi aaya. Now that maza is something which I cannot differentiate. But, but it is the same with me. If I like you from the first, I put you a question and you have answered it beautifully. My mind has started working towards, okay, this is the candidate that I'm looking for. You may have similar, and I would have met 10 guys before you, but maybe that, that chemistry didn't work. So that is what we are looking for. Same qualification, same everything. It's very again, very difficult to find that, okay, everyone can be an MBA, but doesn't mean that everyone is, the superstar that we are looking for. So it doesn't work that. Qualification, yes, but you will have something in you which the interviewer will find in you and, will take it forward.
Then you want to add something?
I'll just take it from there. There is a process of interviewing called targeted selection. In targeted selection, the interviewer asks questions in such a way that the interviewee has to substantiate his answers with facts and figures of what he has actually achieved, not done as a group, not just theoretically done, no. What he as an individual has done at any stage in his life, what he has achieved. Based on that response to achievement, okay, very often the interviewer then says, okay, this person is an achiever. He has achieved more than the next person. Now you can theoretically say, oh, everyone has achieved the same thing, which again is very, very difficult. So in targeted selection process, it becomes easier to select the person who achieves and proves himself to be an achiever as against his other competitors in the interview process.
Can I just add one more thing? Just a small, sorry. This function that you have all organized, Disha, how many are the committee members, which generally everyone participates? How many of you are there in that? 14. So there are 14 of you. So everyone in your CV is going to write this, that organized Disha. So, but people will ask you, what did you do? And that is the answer that we are looking for. Everyone say that Disha organized, but then what? What were the challenges that you faced? What were the issues that you resolved? How did you, first of all, why were you selected as a leader or a committee member? What were the challenges that you faced? How did you resolve it? How did you, shown your leadership skills? So that's how you kind of find out. 14 of you will not get selected. Only one will get.
Okay, I just want to give you a practical situation. I go to IIT Bombay to select chemical engineers. Okay? So these chemical engineers, what do you ask a group of 10 chemical engineers whose CGPA is 9.68? How do you differentiate them? You don't, you can't ask a single technical question. They are all up there with the 1 micron difference, just as you said. Now, how do I, as a HR manager, try to select? Or it's basically an elimination process than a selection process. Okay? So how do I do that? I ask them, what do you do after you go home? What do you do in your hostel room? Okay? What do you do when you get spare time? What kind of extracurricular activities do you have? Are they group based? Are they individual? Are team based? So most of our selection is based on off campus rather than in classroom activities. So try to be a team player, try to take leadership roles. Today, academic competence is a given among 90% of you. So what is the differentiator? And the second part of it is, we also ask, tell me one value in your life that you cherish. And as Mr. Glenn has said, we ask them, can you tell me of 2 instances where you have demonstrated these values in the life? So it's just not speaking. So the candidate needs to tell us 2 examples wherein he or she has actually demonstrated that value. Let it be the value of generosity, let it be a value of honesty, let it be a value of anything. Whatever he or she considers to be of value, where did you demonstrate it? So your co-curricular and extracurricular activities and your values will bring out a clear picture, because they are different individual frames. We can compare them. That's how we do it.
Invaluable inputs. Please don't forget it. 5 months from now, you'll need all this. One last question. The spectacle guy, yeah.
Hello. My question is to Mr. Jacob. So unlike an FMCG company where product differentiation is quite substantial, here we are talking about a healthcare industry where service differentiation is what makes you stand apart. So you said that you are not the best in the pay market itself. So how do you manage to keep the employees motivated? Because they have to work closely with the end customers, unlike a FMCG company. So how do you, yes, you talked about deferred bonuses and all, but that is basically for employee retention. But how do you manage to keep them motivated?
Firstly, our composition has to obviously be at competitive levels. If it is far below competitive levels, nobody will even bother looking at us as a potential employer. Second thing, the entire model of once they come in, the entire engagement pattern, and what does Apollo truly believe in its values, the training that we give our employees, the career path which is there for them. As I said, we've condensed our career path for all entrants, be it nursing, be it paramedical, be it doctors, be it even support staff. And the other aspect is being a service provider in the healthcare space. We also have to look at what are our internal service dynamics in terms of the sabbaticals that we offer, in terms of the training and development that we do for them. So it's a complete, I would say, we try to touch upon every important life cycle management of the employee once he or she joins the organization. Through that, we try and differentiate ourselves. Yes, we tell, people who join us know that some of our competitors pay a little higher than us. But why do they come and join us? It's basically because of the internal service orientation and the fact that we can provide them promising opportunities within the organization. And we have a lot of success stories of housekeeping receptionists who are operations heads in the organization. And these are, and we front-end these people too at the time of induction, at the time of recruitment. These are all the success stories that we share. One of the important things that organizations need to do is that we have to share our success stories. And that is what makes people believe in us as an employer and why they want to be associated with us. It's true for any employer. All of us come from different organizations. And that's what is the differentiator for all the organizations in terms of attracting talent. So it's not just compensation, but there are many other elements which come into play. Like there was a time, I can give you, it's an open story, HCL. HCL never paid the best of salaries at the time when the industry was paying far higher. But HCL had other things to offer. And that's why some of the employees, the feedback that they gave was that they joined HCL for reasons of, apart from compensation, career growth, etc., what they looked at.
Thanks, Jacob. And on behalf of all of us, I'd like to sum up this conversation and the session that we had. I'm sure everyone would agree was really useful. I've made some notes on a few points that I thought were really highlights of the session, and these are not necessarily specific to Gen Ys, Gen X, baby boomers. These are going to be useful for each one of us as professionals and as current or future managers. The one thing is, we all agreed that the issue that we're talking about is real. There is conflict that exists, and it's here to stay. Let's just fast forward the situation by about 10 years. Gen Ys is going to be possibly replaced by Gen Zs, and we're pretty much going to have the same conversation again. So the crux of the matter is change is pretty much the only constant, and we just need to be mentally prepared to accept change, face it head on, and move forward in life. Second one's walk the talk, extremely essential for the managers. Third one, as somebody said, keep it simple. Stupid, if I may add, as one of your competitors. So keep it simple, don't overcomplicate things, don't add unnecessary variables into the equations. Fourth one is extremely essential for all of us to be nimble-footed. Flexibility is the name of the game. The next one is, I think Mayur said this, in a job, and we'll all be responsible for our respective teams or resources, teammates that we work with. Remember, it's a career for an individual, or it could even be a job for an individual, but it's a life of a family that we are responsible for. So let's handle them with care. The next one is the core values of the organization are never going to be compromised. Let me assure you, my own experience, an organization is always going to be bigger than an individual, and it's a simple fact of life. That's how the ecosystem operates. Now, the last one is, again, like Jacob said, leadership and value system is what everybody looks at. So please have your values, be truthful to them, and look at organizations where there is a value match, and you will do well, the organization will do well as well. And any more thoughts and perspectives on any of these, just Google it. I'm sorry, I couldn't. So look, my role was changed last afternoon. So I was requested to be the moderator of the panel. So I had a lot of things about Google that I really wanted to speak, but I had to be neutral as a moderator. So I couldn't let go of that last opportunity. And on behalf of TAPMI and everyone, huge thank you to each one of you. It was a great
On behalf of HR Forum, I would like to thank Mr. D.N. Prasad for donning the role of moderator, and it has been really a wonderful discussion, and I sincerely hope that the lessons and insights which have emerged from this will go a long way for all of us in shaping the careers of us in the future. And it has been the aim of the Disha team always to make this as a very learning experience, to make this of utmost importance to the students. I mean, if somebody asked me what I did in Disha, I would say that I integrated the minds of the academia and the industry. Thank you very much.